United States of America. Unity and oneness is what we're made of. One nation under God, it's plain to see. We're showing the whole world what a country should be. United we stand in America, hand in hand in America. Together as one in a land that we love. United we stand in America.
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. It is Wednesday, December 31st, last day of the year. I can't hardly believe. It just seems like that I was just thinking about what we were going to be doing this year, and now it's over with. It's amazing.
I know.
It's amazing. When you get to be my age, it goes by like super fast, okay? But we are live at Axe Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri. This is show number 273. 273, and I am Lynn Morris.
And I'm Dr. Mary Byrne.
Yes, you are. And we have Brett Rousell. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome back to our
Thank
show. And tell the audience a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm a senior at Ozark this year. I'll graduate in May. I started the Turning Point chapter there my junior year, the first semester, and we operated fully throughout last year. But this year, first semester, we couldn't find a teacher sponsor, so we didn't get to operate as a high school chapter, so we moved to a county hub, so we had a county chapter. And then we'll still have the county chapter in the next year, but we're also going to do a high school chapter. So we're going to have a high school chapter in Ozark High School and then a chapter for Christian County.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. And I'm sure that when you go off to college, university, wherever you're going, you probably already know, you'll probably be involved in Turning Point at
Yes.
that time too, won't you?
Yes.
You're not going to stop.
No.
This movement is growing.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, one of the things Dr. Mary and I were just talking about before you got here is, there was people that, I don't understand why, but celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk, and they thought that was going to end the movement. But they didn't realize what Charlie's wife would do. They didn't realize what all the other people would do that was part of that movement, that organization, and the young people have, and everyone, even older folks, have rallied. That's why you have that other group that's going on down in Christian County.
Yes.
And they're not just young people; they're different ages.
Oh, yeah.
And so you now have a movement of working together, and it's going to continue to grow. And so I think that's
One of
that's a
the
great
comments I heard was where Charlie Kirk influenced the young males. Erica Kirk is in a position now to influence the young women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's a very strong lady.
Trump would not be in office without Charlie Kirk's effort to get those male voters. Yeah. So what attracted you?
Cultural Impact Conference. I was there. I heard Bill Federer speak.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And then after
on our
that-
show. We know Bill.
Yeah. And after that, I went to the entry area where they had all the booths with the organizations, and they had a Turning Point booth. And the rep asked me if I had a club at my school, a Turning Point chapter, which is now Club America, and I told him no, and then he told me I could start one.
Yeah.
All you had to do was fill out a form.
I saw Federer at the memorial service. The
Yeah.
camera panned to him, and he was...
Yeah, I did a podcast with him just a month or 2 months ago. Yeah. It was
He's
nice.
a great man.
Oh, yeah. Him and his son.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I want to put a plug out for women before we start our show today, just thinking about all the women that are leaders in this country and doing great things in businesses and everything, nonprofits, everything that they're doing. We need more and more women on school boards. We need more women involved in every aspect of life, not just men.
Yeah, I like a balance.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I felt like when I was on the school board many years ago in Ozark, it was all men. And then I helped bring the first woman in and to take my place. And there was a lot of men that didn't think that was a good idea. But the best groups that we have as leadership is balanced, like you
Balanced,
say.
right.
Men
I
and
know
women
that-
think differently.
Yeah.
And so you need that balance. You need
Which
that
is
balance.
which is how a marriage works, right?
Yeah.
You have
so
different perspectives.
I would encourage women out there all over this country that's watching this show, listening to this show, get involved. Get involved in nonprofits, get involved in church, get involved in business, get involved in government. Pay attention. You are so smart and so important that we need you. We need the women to step up and continue to be what they need to be, what God has intended you to be. So this is our Happy New Year's program, our New Year's program.
Winding up
yeah.
Winding up the old and bringing in
Yeah,
the new,
and
right?
so what we're going to be doing today is we've got the young man, we've got a perfect age, middle-aged person right
He's
here,
so kind.
and then you've got the old person right here representing. And we're going to do three things. We're going to talk about the most important things that we feel like happened in 2025 in our country, and then the worst things that have happened, bad things that have happened in our country. We need to know what those are. And then we're going to talk about what would we like to see or predict in 2026. And before I do that, I just want to say something about what I saw posted the other day. Jim Whining is our CEO of Acts Ministry, and he's world financial banker from Germany, and came over here. He's an attorney, and he's a bishop for Acts Ministry. And one of the things I can't help but tell you all is I want people to pray. I want you to pray today and pray tonight because we have a new year starting, and prayer is extremely important. I saw Jim's post, and he's talking about what Acts Ministry stands for, and Jesus Christ through the Holy Spirit. We need to understand the importance of God, Son, and Holy Spirit. We need to understand that if you want a really good 2026, you'll have a much better 2026 if you actually have a relationship with Jesus Christ. It's easy to do. And you can do that. And I'm praying that you will find Jesus Christ either today or tonight or this first part of 2026, because you never know when it's too late. You never know when it's too late. And so I want to give out we're going to start doing this every week. The email address that I want you to write down, I'm hoping you got a pencil and paper, but it's easy to remember, 4321acts@gmail.com. 4321acts, ACTS, all small letters, at gmail.com. The reason why I give you that out is we would love for you to email us comments about our show. What would you like to hear and see in 2026? If you would like to be part of Acts Ministry and make a donation or help us and volunteer in any way, we need you to contact 4321acts, ACTS, at gmail.com. Okay? Because I think it's really important. Every year becomes more and more important as we know what the Bible says about end times and what's going on. And we're actually probably going to touch into that a little bit because we're going to look at the bad things that have happened in 2026. And many of the things that have happened, events that have happened, has been predicted in the Bible. Okay? So let's do the first thing. The first thing is, Brett, what do you have on your list of good things in 2025?
Yeah, good things in 2025.
Yeah.
The growth of Turning Point, how many chapters they have. And we have states like Texas, Oklahoma, saying they're going to give support to help grow the chapters and get them into every institution of learning. And I think that's good. I think it's good that we've seen so much growth there. But more importantly, the growth, young people, young men, wanting to get back into church, wanting to have a relationship with God, like you were saying. I think that's the most important thing. We've seen people going back to church, and that's what we need. It doesn't matter who's in the White House, who's in the governor's mansion. What matters is that young people and old people, all people, are giving their lives to Christ and coming to know Him and have a relationship with Him.
Well, I
think
think,
it's most important.
yeah, I think that is absolutely awesome. And from a young person's perspective, think about you guys. You guys are our future. I mean, I'm not your future. I'm your past. I've got a few years left, and I'm willing to help anybody and help you all as young people or anybody. I'm a service-minded person, so I want to help people. But my time is passing. And she's got still quite a bit of time left that she's going to help up in Jefferson City with education and everything. So Dr. Mary is going to be important, but it's really good when you see the three age groups working together and thinking about things and making things better, praying together, doing all the things that we can do. But I think that's a good one. Good.
Yeah, I don't want you to underestimate the importance of institutional knowledge and history, and where we might value the strength and exuberance of youth. It's got to be informed, and so there has to be a relationship among the generations. And thank you for coming and
Thank you.
and doing part of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because there has to be someone to transmit that information
Exactly,
and
yeah.
history to, or you become a rudderless boat. And I think that's a lot of what happened in education is they decoupled from teaching history
Yes.
and government, and because of that decoupling, there's been a lot of chaos, and that's part of what I look forward to in 2026. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
So what's your first item on the list?
What I thought was good,
Yeah.
not to sound political, but I think the restoration of Trump in the White House was a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I shudder to think if there was a continuation of the Biden administration, whoever was in the helm, if they were still continuing that same agenda, we were going to be driven into the ground.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that was a good thing.
Yeah. Well, so I actually agree with you there. My number one thing that I put, and they're all important, I think, that we're going to talk about. But I think the second inauguration of President Donald Trump. I mean, here's what I fear about this country. People pay attention to this. This is what I fear. When we have a party that is too far right or too far left, and we're so divided, and that's the way the country is today. That's not necessarily a good thing. You know, America has freedoms, and we can worship, we can believe, we can do all these things because of our Constitution. But when we're so divided, here's what I fear. I look at the yo-yo effect. When you have a president like President Biden was, and then you look, so I'm talking about night and day. This is daytime in this country. But sometimes you have leaders that are like nighttime, and then you go back to day, and then you go back to night. And so I'm hoping, and we'll maybe be talking about midterms, but I'm hoping that the midterms, people understand how important they are. If you voted for Trump this second time and you want to see this play out, because all these things they did on the Great Beautiful Bill is just now going to start taking place in 2026. It was passed last summer, but it's not going to. So don't be so impatient. Don't be so impatient because things take time. Things take time. But we need to see it out, and then if you don't like it after 4 years, then you're going to have to figure out who else to vote for. But don't make it like a yo-yo in this country, because this country's not going to be able to live through yo-yo government.
But piggybacking on what Brett said is that there was an oppression of religious freedom,
Oh,
even
yes.
in this country, and we can see it in Canada. It's stunning what's going on to suppress religious freedom
Oh,
in
yeah.
Canada, and we had that here.
Yes.
And I think that that's one of the reasons You may not like his personality, you may not like everything he does, but he respects religious freedom.
Yes.
And unless we can gather together as groups of people and pray corporately, freely, we're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the foundation of the country.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good. How about number 2?
Number 2.
Lead the way.
Trump in the White House. That was a good one. I think that was very good. I think Trump getting in the White House, that would be my number 2, because I think that was the Lord giving America more time to get back on track, to get back to the things that we're supposed to be doing, to stop doing the nonsense that we had going on for so long. It's just the Lord giving us more time to do what we're supposed to be doing. And I think that's my number 2, because it's him giving us another chance.
Yeah.
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 He's not perfect, but
Right.
he's what the country appears
Yes.
to be needing right now.
Exactly.
What do you think, Dr. Mary?
I think Trump's pick of Robert Kennedy for Secretary of Health is the best thing that could happen to the American health system.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Because people think he's an extremist. He's not anti-vax.
Right.
He is corporate accountability, and I think Big Pharma needs to be held accountable.
Yes.
That law that Fauci was instrumental in passing that protected them from lawsuits, from damages that vaccines could cause, actually was abused, so they no longer collected data on the safety of those vaccines. To stand in the gap and challenge that, and for international companies, is just an extraordinary character and strength, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I think that's.
The pharmacist over here.
I could talk all.
Did I hit a nerve?
I could talk all day about healthcare and vaccines and things like that. But the one I want to add next that I would think, and I've thought a lot about this, when President Trump chose Musk to lead Doge, and we all
As an
said-
advisor.
as an advisor, and he got these young people. They were mostly young people, and they were very smart people, and they scoured our government. We all know there's waste. There's waste in everything. There's waste in family budgets. There's waste in business budgets. There's waste in government budgets. We know that, but it's very important. The more money somebody has, the more waste that there is. We're seeing that now in Minnesota. So with all the billions of dollars of fraud that's out there. But so going back to Doge, I think that even though Musk didn't stay, a long time, he instigated something that I think that we should be doing all the time. This is not something that just one president should be doing. Every president should be having an organization, a group of people that's always watching the government to make sure our taxpayers' money's not wasted.
Yes.
So I think that is an important thing that started under President Trump, and I hope whoever becomes president next and the next and the next would continue to make our government more efficient.
Yes.
So I think that's an important thing.
Oh, yeah.
What do you have for number 3? Do you
Number
have
3. I don't have a number 3, but I'm
Okay.
sure I can think of one.
Okay, well, you be thinking. We'll go to Mary.
The rise of independent journalists.
Okay.
All right, you talked about Minnesota. That whole investigation of
yeah.
the Somali community and the
Yes.
fraud of having fake child care centers and fake home health houses was uncovered by a 23-year-old YouTuber named Nick Shirley. A shout out to Nick Shirley, right? Because what that's going to do is bring down a system of corrupt government, not only in Minnesota,
Yeah.
but I think in the neighboring state of Michigan, because there's a lot of spillover there. And it's these independent journalists. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the guy who did. I'm embarrassed now because I'm blanking on his name. Yes, the guy who did Veritas.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe. He started out young. He's not so young anymore. But it's that kind of bravery and chutzpah that really has undermined the stranglehold mainline media had over the information we got. And I think that they are every bit as needed as in the Bill of Rights, when the founders wanted to protect freedom of the press, it wasn't the propaganda press, it was the independent journalists.
Oh yeah, and we see that with all the podcasts popping up all over the place, giving people not the propaganda that from mainstream media, because you'll see everything from mainstream media. They'll always spew the same agenda time after time. But then you have...
Isn't that what Mockingbird is? I mean, you can... There's several posts out there with the talking heads from the different media shows all saying the same script.
And then you have the independent journalists, the podcasters, the YouTubers. They're not spewing a certain agenda. They're just telling you how it is for what it is.
Yeah. And some of them are absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
I read Badlands Media for their analysis of current events. There's only a few posts in every issue.
Yeah.
They're brilliant. They're deep. And you have to pay attention. I mean, if what you want are just the headlines, forget about it. But I really appreciate these independent journalists.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's extremely important, and
I don't even. Well, I do subscribe to the New York Times because I do their archives.
I do
You
the
have
crossword.
to have. Pardon?
I do the crossword.
You do the crossword puzzle. No, I have to go into the archives to get the deep history of what happened in the Progressive era and stuff like that. So, I no longer consider them credible.
Right.
But the backstory
Oh,
and the history is
Yes.
what I subscribe for.
yeah, no, I think that's another good one. I just want to point out to the people watching today, that was Dennis, our volunteer producer, very smart man, and he was able to help Dr. Mary with that name. I didn't know the name.
Yeah.
I couldn't come up with it either. I had it in my mind, but I couldn't come up with it. But I think one of the next things on my list is, again, and I don't want to keep talking about President Trump, but the importance of what he has done in solving and ending some wars. We've had this, you read the Bible, and Israel has been at war with different countries forever. It's all over the Bible. Yes. Countries fight each other, people fight each other. But President Trump has been, I'm thinking about, I think there's been some really good presidents, both Republican and Democrat, over my 70 years of life. But I will tell you, I think he's the first president that has gone out and solved several serious problems. I mean, and nobody else seemed to want to go out there and do that. Okay? Now he needs to solve the problems in this country, and he's working on that. But I want to give him credit, and I think this is important because some people will say, well, just keep our head in the sand. If it doesn't participate with our 50 states and our boundaries, we're not going to worry about the rest of the world. No, let me tell you what, we are into everything. If somebody else is having a war somewhere else in this world, it's going to affect the United States, okay? It's going to affect us. So if we have a more stable, peaceful world, we are better off in this country. So I applaud the president for that.
Yeah, you might get criticized because he's being pretty aggressive with Venezuela, but if you understood drug trafficking
Right.
and how Venezuela is playing part of that, intentionally collaborating with the Chinese to kill Americans without bullets. That's what the drug trade is. And it's an act of war.
If we didn't have if we had a president who didn't care about that, I would be more concerned having a president that doesn't care about the hundreds of thousands of Americans dying from drugs from Venezuela than having President Trump who's doing something about it.
Right.
I would be more concerned if we had nothing happening in Venezuela because it's killing Americans.
And
It's
so many
it's what it is
administrations
doing.
kick that down
Yes.
the road. Actually, yeah, there's we
Oh,
we
yeah.
could go into the Clinton administration.
Well, and
but
as a pharmacist,
take too much time.
as a pharmacist, I understand quite a bit about illegal drugs. I understand a lot about cocaine. I understand what it does, and you guys are exactly right. It's another attempt, because this country is never going to be invaded and taken over militarily.
Right.
Nobody is going to
yeah.
do that, okay? Nobody. However, what they've done with education, everything, every form, breaking up our family, everything they've done internally.
Right.
Slowly and surely, they've done it internally
That's why it's called a culture
over.
war.
Yeah, they're trying to take over our country from the inside, not from the outside. But so another one that I've got, and then we'll see what you've got, is, and I'm not an expert on the Catholic religion, okay? I have a lot of friends that are Catholics, and I respect all those people. I respect people that believe in different denominations and things like that. However, I think it's really important to note that we got our first American Pope. I mean, in all these years that we've never had, and a lot of those popes, I didn't know how to pronounce their names, and they come from Argentina, and they come from everywhere, all over the world. They seem to be great people. I don't really know. I'm not part of the Catholic religion, but I think I'm interested to see how this American Pope operates, how he serves the people. Because he's not just serving the Catholic people, he's actually involved in our whole country. What he says and does affects our country. And I'm watching him because I don't want him to be too political, okay? And so I'm just reserved right now watching him.
That's a good position to take, I think.
Yep.
What do you got? Do you have another one that you want to talk about?
All right. So if you've been watching finances, then you know that there was a 70% rise in the value of gold this year, 2025. And so when I was looking at the portfolio, if you're going to be scriptural, you have to kind of ask God, so what do you think of the finances? And he says, the gold and silver are mine. And if you invest in gold and silver, you don't do it because you're going to get a quick rise.
Right.
But 70% in this year is an indicator of something extraordinary going on. And silver, it happened too. It's at least 100% above what it started last year, or in the beginning of 2025. So I think what's happening, although again the mainstream media doesn't give credit to Trump for anything, but as he is challenging the status quo in the Federal Reserve and interest rates, and challenging what's happening, I think in basic things like oil, okay, because that's what's going on. He's pro-American in terms of being energy independent. I think that you're going to see a shift in these assets, gold and silver, to stabilize your portfolios, where the stocks might go up and down. You're going to see a good investment in gold and silver. And silver, if you're not aware, is actually used in a lot of current products and in medicine. It's right? Used
right.
as like an antiseptic
I
preventative.
have some silver in this
in your
wrist brace.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, it's just, I don't know exactly how it works, but it's built into this fiber, and it's supposed to be a healing thing, because I've sprained my wrist.
I
real
know they
bad.
use it in operation rooms and the instruments and so on, because it's
in fact, I'm going to talk about gold and silver
antibacterial.
too after a while. So we both are thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
So-
and
so,
in cell phones, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of uses for silver where you only need minute amounts, but silver is, I think, going to have the lid taken off of its values. And if you have any extra cash lying around, you might want to invest it in that.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, let's do one more. I'm going to do one more. I don't want to skip the good things without talking about AI, the infrastructure, the boom that's going on with AI. Now, it's going to lead us into the bad things for 25, and that's fine. The good things about it is definitely something that could help our country, could help the world. And we're seeing a lot of things in medicine, and hopefully we can find cures for diseases, not just treatments, but cures. I think that if we use AI responsibly, we can really benefit from it. I think if we don't use it responsibly, and I'm depending on the federal government, which is sometimes not a good thing to depend on, but it's got to have some controls. We got to make sure that we don't let it get out of control, because it could actually harm our country. It could harm our people. You know, right now people are worried about people graduating from college and expecting to go to work, and AI is replacing people. And it'll be, when I talk about predictions, we're going to talk about unemployment and things like that. Some of it has to do with AI. So I think that's the good and the bad. And do you have one more thing good, or do you want to go?
No,
on
I
to
just
bad?
want to make a comment.
Yeah.
Is that I can't remember his name, but I know a billionaire has shorted the stock for AI. He says Zuckerberg has inflated the amount of profit he's actually making from it.
Oh,
It's
So-
not a slam dunk.
okay.
And the analogy is, if you remember, I know you're too young, but you remember when video discs
Oh, yeah,
came out,
yeah.
and then video tapes
Believe it
came
or not, I
out.
can't remember either of those things.
No, well, see, I think that was 20 years ago. Video disc versus videotapes, and for a while there was this competition about, because you had to have different machines to run both
Yes.
of those formats, right? And the advantage of the video disc was that you could drop the needle right where you wanted it to play. At videotapes, you had to run all the way through, right?
Yep.
But it was the videotapes that won out, and the discs went away. AI is not without its challenges, and one of them is the cost of those data centers and the amount of
Energy that
that's
they're
coming
gonna-
back on the taxpayer, right? Or the utility consumer to share. And I think it's still out there. I wouldn't get too enthusiastic about AI. The bubble could burst. And look that up, because
Yeah.
that's one of the
Well,
concerns.
it'd be something I think would be a little bit more riskier investment in stocks and things like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zuckerberg and those guys. I looked that up. I mean, originally they spent $5 billion. They put $5 billion together. $5 billion's a lot of money. They put $5 billion together to kind of start some infrastructure, and from that point, it's just gone everywhere. And so, yes, there's a lot of money being spent, a lot of energy being spent on this. And so we're not there to know exactly how that's going to work. Okay, what about Brett, something that was negative in our country in 25? Can you think of something you want to talk about?
Yeah. So negative, of course, is the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That's
Yeah.
the first thing that came to mind when I thought negatives of 2025, just because of the lack of compassion from some people when it happened, the lack of compassion. He was a father, a son, a husband, and people had no compassion for it, just because he was a conservative figure.
They dehumanized him.
Exactly. They would dehumanize him and try to paint this picture of him being a bad person, when in reality he wasn't even close to a bad person. He's somebody who made young men go to church in numbers we haven't seen in a long time. So
He was
I
a
don't know
faith
about
leader
that. Exactly.
as well as, and that was the thing Charlie did best. is
yes,
Where people keep talking about separation of church and state, he said, no, that's not possible.
right.
You can't have good government without a good God in
Exactly.
in your life.
Oh yeah.
And the founders knew that. If
Yes,
you go
they-
back and you read
yes, they
the
knew.
original founding documents, they knew. As a matter of fact, John Adams said, our Constitution only works for a moral people. And the question then becomes, well, where do you get your morals? Their morals
Yep.
came from the Christian faith.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of fill in that gaps. But there's been a deliberate unmooring of our culture from its historic roots.
Yes.
And this move towards globalism is to make you forget that identity. And Charlie was bringing it back.
Yes.
So I don't believe that his assassin acted alone.
I don't either. I don't think he did either.
No.
There's no way.
Yeah. So
Well,
we'll learn more about that in
Yes, we- in
2026.
2026.
Those
we'll be
are
learning
things
more
that
about
we'll
that.
find about in
Yes.
Yeah.
2026. But
Look
one
forward to it.
point I want the listeners to know that I think is extremely important based on what Brett was talking about. This is what a young person's thinking and worried about, is that assassination and how inhuman that is. More Bibles were bought in 2025 than they have in a long time. And the Bibles, the number one book in the world ever bought or ever given away, ever read, is the Bible. So, for some of these networks that downplay the Bible and that Christians are decreasing in numbers, more people are going to church today than they have in a long time. So the numbers are increasing. A lot of it is due to Turning Point. And the older folks need to pay attention to what the younger folks are doing because they're doing the right thing. But I just wanted to make sure we point that out. So what do you think, Mary, is a negative thing for 2025? Well, we got
been-
several.
Well,
but,
we've been talking about negatives, but I think that the mainstream media has been a big negative
Okay.
because it is slanted. I'll tell you something. When I was doing a research on what I thought might be good for 2026, I came up with the 250th anniversary of our country. Yeah. All right? I checked several websites to see what they thought were the top 10 issues of 2026. Not a single one mentioned the 250th anniversary of our country. I don't think we've ever been more slanted in the media and what's presented to shape your thinking than the kind of slant we have right now in this subtle anti-Americanism. They're not objective. They're not value neutral. They may not be explicit in saying we don't want you to participate in the 250th anniversary, but you have to go out there and look on your own to find these kinds of celebrations. And by golly, we have the longest Constitution, the longest history of a Constitution in the world.
Oh, yeah.
That's quite an achievement, but it
think
is
so.
not being publicized. So I think that it's an example of the slanted information you're presented in the media. So
Yes.
that's something, again, it gets back to the praises for independent journalists. They're not sitting for it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, I think that's good. Can you think of another thing that you want to mention?
Another negative,
Yeah.
from 2025. The polarization since Trump took office for the second time. People have been so negative of him, but I don't quite understand why, because you've seen all the positive and the good things he's done for our country, but yet there's people still sitting there spouting all these negative things about him. But look how much better we're doing now as opposed to 2 years ago. 2 years ago, families were struggling to make ends meet. They couldn't afford to put food on the table. 2 years later, 3 years later, we're doing so much better. Families are actually able to thrive. I mean, just look, the gas prices are down. Prices are down. Inflation is down. And we've seen GDP growth in almost every quarter since he took office. So I don't quite understand the negatives of people.
Once again, the ones who are vocal and negative about it are the ones who are losing their power.
Exactly, and that's why.
And they have control of the media. So,
They want people would rather hold on to power than see America prosper, and
Exactly.
that's the problem with
more
some
for
people.
me, not for thee.
Exactly, they would rather hold on to their power and their money, whatever they have,
There's a lot at
than to
stake.
see the everyday American prosper. They don't care. Frankly, they don't care about American people. They just care about their power, their influence.
Right.
And that's the negative of 2025. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I want to point out to our audience that based on what you guys are now talking about, if you'll look, I looked at a network the other night. Just I'm not going to mention who it is, but it's a very liberal network, and they never one time, and I watched for about an hour and 45 minutes, and I never heard one time, and they were talking about news of everything going on in this country, but there was never any mention about the fraud and the issues going on in Minnesota. I would just point out to everybody that's watching today, fraud and things that are wrong apply both to Republicans and Democrats. It applies to every American. Republicans aren't perfect. Democrats aren't perfect. No one's perfect. Jesus Christ is the only person that's going to come
Yes.
back that's perfect. And so you got to figure this out. What's wrong with our polarization of our media that you guys are talking about when you can't even hear one thing about Minnesota? I know there's good people in Minnesota. I know there are, and I'm sure they're concerned about it. But every media should be talking about every issue instead of deciding which issues they don't want to talk about. So I'm going to just quit there on that. But
Can we move on to 2026?
so one more thing. What else do you want to say that's negative?
I just
I don't like
think
being
that
negative.
The problem in Congress that is resisting change for the people. You know, again, that's the seat of power. That's the center of power. And so the fight in the Senate to thwart things like the big beautiful bill, you know, and again, that wasn't perfect. No sausage making process is going to give you everything you want. And you were in government, you know that. That's what bills are. They're a sausage making process. Whatever you send out never comes back with the same spices. But the fact that they would hold for ransom the American people so that and this is the Democrats and the health care issue. Again, who was going to benefit? The insurance companies, because they're the ones that are getting that flow of sure money, sure
Yes.
income from the federal government to pay for this health care. Okay, but it's unaffordable, and the Democrats were all on board with saying, oh well, if you charge people what it really costs, they won't be able to afford it. Bingo. That's right. The plan is bad, all right? And what they tried to do was hold hostage the whole American people on what a bill that gave them good things to attach something that was actually going to be detrimental.
Yes.
We've got to figure out another plan for health. I'm not against that, but that hostage-taking episode cost a lot of families their income for weeks,
Yes.
and is unforgivable in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So there we are.
Okay. Well, this, and I agree there too. And
See,
and
you think I'm always right.
I think we think a lot alike, but I know that people are thinking different things today, and so again, if you want to comment, 4321 ACTS, gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Are we right, wrong? Are you glad we did this? But let's talk about now. I'll do one more worse thing real quick. One real quick. I want to do that because this leads us into predictions for 26 too. One of the negative things, and Jim Whining, our Acts Ministry CEO, we have gatherings. I'm hoping all over the country that churches and people will have gatherings. These are groups of people that meet and talk about what's going to be happening. How can you survive? How can you live during end times? What's going to happen to our country? What's going to happen to all over this country as the Bible is fulfilled? And so one of the things that we talked about in the gatherings is about all these national, world, and country catastrophic events. These catastrophic events.
Natural events?
Natural
You mean
events.
the flooding?
And so that's what I want people to remember. We had the ones in July in Texas where many young people and even some older folks died from the flooding at the church camps. Okay, there's one. But another one was at the Potomac River where we had the air collision between a jet airliner and a helicopter, and everybody on the airplane and the helicopter died. That's one. Another one that I had wrote down. See what? Oh, I can't forget this. The Southern California wildfires. Oh my gosh, 15,000 homes destroyed. We've only got 1 or 2 homes rebuilt over this time. The California government, I hate to pick on them, but get going. Loosen up your regulations. Do something. Help these poor people build their homes.
Yes.
No wonder you're losing your population if you don't have places to live. But all these events, they're getting worse and worse. Tornadoes, everything in our area is getting worse and worse and worse. There's a reason for that, and people need to know Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior. Okay, now we're going to talk about what do you think for 2026? The one thing that you are wanting to happen, or are you predicting that will happen?
One thing I want to happen, and I think it'll continue, the growth of people going to church.
Okay.
People going to church, because as you're saying, they need to know Jesus Christ before it's too late. And we don't know when it will be too late, so they won't know.
It could be
It could
in
be
the next
5 minutes
second,
from now.
5 minutes, yeah, you're right.
And I wouldn't be complaining if it was, but people need to know Jesus Christ as their Savior before it's too late, because at the end of their life, nothing that they did here is going to matter.
Nope.
The only thing that's going to matter is the works you did for Christ. That's where your rewards in heaven are going to be laid up. We know you're not going to be saved by those works, but we know that your rewards in heaven will be assigned by those works. So it's important for people to know Jesus Christ as their Savior so they can spend eternity in heaven.
That's right. That's right. And you hear that from a young person,
Yes.
okay?
Right,
that's
and
positive.
it's not
Yes.
a works economy. It's because you love Jesus.
Yes.
It's because you have a relationship
Yep.
with Him, and you want to show people
Yes.
what it means to be loved by Him,
Oh, yeah.
and that's the witness. So again, it's not a works economy where you're building up a bank account of good works so you can
Exactly.
show it to God at the end. It's because right here and now you understand Jesus as your brother, your friend, as well as your Savior. And that the Father created this whole relationship, made it possible because He loved you too. And when you're motivated by love, it's different than being motivated by avoidance of punishment.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so that's the real essence of why we want people to return to the Bible and return to church, because that story is in the book.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I will just say, we're going to be closing here in a minute, but we're going to talk about our sponsors. But most of my things that I'm predicting or I've read about has to do with economic issues in our country. Interesting enough, I'm going to be using Goldman Sachs. I've used them as an investment tool in the past, and there's all kinds of theories out there of how inflation is going to be, how GDP is going to be, all kinds of things.
Conflicting theories.
And yeah, they're all over the board, okay? So what I say is not necessarily true, or what I believe is not necessarily going to happen, but here's what I'm taking from other people like Goldman Sachs and what I'm hoping and believing in. I think that inflationary, and I'm looking at people a lot smarter than me that does this every day, talking about inflation, and they're predicting a minus 2.2, that it's going to be a very low inflation rate by the end of 2026. So it's already decreasing. It's going to continue to decrease. Inflation's not going to go up. I know that some networks are saying that groceries are still very expensive. Just like you said, Brett, gasoline's down. I paid $1.91 a gallon. That was the day before Christmas. Normally during the holidays, gas goes up. We've always seen that. We live in America. It's been that way forever before holidays. and so $1.91 is pretty good. It's still going down, and will continue to go down. So I think inflation's going to go down. GDP, interesting enough, that they're predicting a 4 to 5 point GDP percent increase despite job losses. There are going to be some serious job losses in 2026, mostly because of AI, but the GDP is going to be a high number. 4 or 5% is a high number with all the issues that we've had. So when I look at all of those things, I think 2026 may be a good year, a good year, and I'm hoping. And you know what? One of the things you can do is pray every day for a good year for everyone. And everyone, you don't leave anybody out. Pray for everyone, pray for our country, and pray local, because I'm in local government. Be sure and remember the local people in the cities and towns and the counties, and then go to the state level, and then go to the federal government. But I agree, Brett. I think more and more people are going to be going to church. I'm seeing a lot of new people at church every Sunday that I've never seen before in my life. I have absolutely can tell you that where we sit, and it's over 3,000 people that go to this church every Sunday. I used to be able to see the same people around me. I'm seeing a lot of new people coming in. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. Okay, well, we are time to talk about our sponsors. We're going to run out. We went a little bit over. Dennis and I talked about that, and because this was a very important discussion today. I hope you all got something out of it. Hope you agree with us part of the time, and I hope that we have a great new year in 2026. But Brad Pistow is a certified fiduciary financial planner located in Ozark, Missouri, and I use him. A lot of my friends and business associates use him. He's not only helped me have money for retirement that I will run out of my life long before I run out of my money, so I'm not going to be worrying about it. And my kids won't have to be worrying about it either. I'll have a little bit left over for them. And he will help you make money now, and he'll also help you have money every year for your retirement. So his phone number, 417-581-9222, 417-581-9222. Call Brad Pistow today and let him know. His son also helps. He's a stockbroker, sells securities, things like that. I've also bought some more gold and silver. By the way, Dr. Mary is correct. Gold and silver is the thing to do. They are actually. It's hard to believe, but they're actually predicting that gold right now it's over 4,000. It's predicted it will be somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000 at the end of 2026. Wow. You're talking about a tremendous increase. Now, not everybody can afford to buy gold, so and the hard gold, the coins itself, you have to figure out where you're going to store and protect them. But you can also buy stock. And there are some really good gold stocks that you can buy, so you don't have to worry about how you're going to keep them and things like that, and you will still gain the profits with the gold stock. Also, silver is a good investment, Dr.
Much
Mary,
more
because you
affordable
can
if
afford
you-
it. Everybody can afford to buy silver. Everybody can afford to buy silver because it's so much less an ounce compared to the gold. So I would buy silver. If you can't buy gold, buy silver because it's still going to go up. It's used in a lot of different commodities, things that we have to
Yesterday,
make.
silver was
Yeah.
$80 an
Yeah,
ounce.
yeah, and so I would do that. But Brad Pistow is a guy that we highly recommend. He's in Ozark, Missouri. Call that number. You don't have to live in Missouri. He's licensed in many states, and he has associates in all 50. He's written books. Safe Money Matters, Bulletproof, #1 best-selling books on retirement planning. I could go on and on. He'll be in our show in January. To start off the year, we need to listen to him. Everyone needs to listen to him, and he financially will help you. Okay? The other sponsor we have is Springfield Nissan, Springfield Kia. They're located in Ozark, Missouri. My last car I bought on Labor Day, I bought a Kia Sorento, a very nice SUV, half the price of my Jeep that I bought from him back in 2020, my last car. But I bought my last 3 cars from these guys, and I highly recommend them. They're located at 3838 South Campbell. And then new cars on one side, Nissans and Kias, and then used cars right across the street on South Campbell. And you're going to say, "Oh, well, I don't live in Missouri." Well, there are people in 8 states. I know there's 42 left, but we got 8 states buying cars from this dealership. They've been in business over 45 years. One of the longest family-owned dealerships in Southwest Missouri. There's reasons for that. You can call them at 417-838-3838, 417-882-3838. So that's our 2 sponsors, and we're glad you tuned in today. We hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned something. Hope you agree part of the time with us. And be sure and communicate with us. We want to make this show for you in 2026, and we're praying and hoping that you have a great, blessed, and safe, happy New Year.
Yes.